do you want to add any more?
Yeah, sure. I've founded twice. So I've been able to see all different aspects of what it means to run a business. And even though I am, quote, a CTO, I'm a very highly product centric, highly customer centric CTO. So really taking, really standing in the boots of the user, understanding like what is it the product that I want to do, and building, making sure products have like that real strong empathy for the user experience. So, and because I founded twice, I really kind of know, all the different aspects of what it means to kind of build, found and build a business. So whether it's financial, to the CEO, to working with the board, etc.
And all three reviewers are in that boat. That's why this is so exceptional. I'm so excited for you, Aubrey. Okay, so Liz, are we ready to go?
Yes, so let me stop sharing here and turn this back over. Hold on. We're having Zoom challenges at the moment.
And Aubrey, you pronounce the name Chic or Shick?
Shick, like the razor, but not, it's we're like Pennsylvania Dutch. We've been in the United States too long, so we don't have the first C.
Shick.
All right, hold on. It's not letting me do that yet because I just have to give it permission to.
Maybe I'll give a little bit of an intro for myself.
Video.
So,
Here.
Aubrey, I'm going to give you your intro.
Okay.
If Liz does anything every month, it's that. So that's like the one thing I prepared for was the intro.
That's okay. I'm just trying to get the recording to go. Guys, forgive my technical difficulties, new computer, and not all the permissions were set up properly for Zoom recording here, so.
And Aubrey, you have your PowerPoint. So we go for about, well, it depends on what time are we at. We're already at 6:13. So we've been going over every month, and it's actually really fun at the end. So I don't have a big deadline at the end of the day, so it's fine. But we usually go 15-20 minutes, and then the reviewers jump in. But don't feel pressured to have to go along, longer than you need to.
I want to get into the discussion as soon as we can. And I also want a special shout out to Linda, because Linda brought me to this group. I reached out to her through Boomtown, and she's like, oh, you've got to meet this coolest women, Profit Matters. This is exactly the right thing. And then when we were talking about reviewers, I'm like, well, can Linda be a reviewer? And so it's a full circle.
Yeah. I like that too. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, Linda, this is awesome. And Linda came to my house when we did a happy hour. Linda,
yes.
Thank you again for coming to my house. I was like, no one's gonna show up, but you showed up. I was like,
oh yeah, we had a great time. Yes.
All right, we ready? I'm just gonna introduce Aubrey, because Aubrey, you need an introduction. You work really hard. You don't want to introduce yourself. Okay, are we ready?
Yes, we should be ready. Good to go.
Okay.
Good to go.
All right. Aubrey Shick, she is our presenter this evening. She's an expert in socially assistive agent artificial intelligence. She's the executive director of Peerbots, but from what I heard talking to her, she's the founder of Peerbots. It's a software nonprofit. She provides tools, and it's to support telehealth. It's therapy, it's education, for people, mostly children, with social and developmental challenges. She serves as the head of technology and research at Fine Art Miracles, Inc. And this is a nonprofit it's amazing, it's robots that successfully treat autism. And this has been they've been running the program since 2013. And so we're really excited to hear about Peerbots. And so Aubrey, you want to kick us off? You can tell us all about your amazing technology.
Sure, I'll do that. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Another thing that I want to just mention as part of the fun is I'm also, I think it's fair to say, a two-time founder, and I've, taken VC money. So my first venture was a hardware company where we were creating robots, and I ran that for about 4 years, took angel money, did all that stuff. And while the hardware itself was not a viable business, the intervention itself was. And that's how I wound up getting into the software nonprofit side of things. So Peerbots is a software nonprofit. Do you ever go online and you download some awesome free software and it's from, you know, Firefox or something like that? So Peerbots is a software nonprofit, and a lot of thought went into being a software nonprofit. Happy to discuss that, but that's not the ask for today. So Peerbots stands for Peer-Based Educational and Emotional Relationships. And what you see here is a tablet inside of a stuffed animal. That's the really simple way to put it. However, and I know I'm not sharing my screen completely, so maybe I'll go ahead and present the whole thing for a second. So there are about 6 million children in the United States under 10 years old with mental, behavioral, and developmental disorders. And not to say that this product, Peerbots, only serves those children with challenges, but those children are particularly well served. And as you see, there's a robot in the picture here. So this software actually works with robots and apps and actually even virtual reality. So this is a hardware agnostic system that I've developed to be kind of asset based and to be as versatile as possible. Fine Art Miracles is a service-based nonprofit that I've been working with, as Kristen said, since my graduate work. So the thing to kind of come away with is I've been working in social assistive agents or robots for about 10 years now. So I've worked on all sorts of different robots, and Moxie by Embodied. So I was the head of human robot interaction user experience at that company, so doing interaction architecture and validation for a very complex pure artificial intelligence system. But from all of these different experiences that I've worked on, I've really developed a sense of what is needed. And also Fine Art Miracles, just to give you a sense of the scale of my experience as well, probably about 10,000 children over the years have interacted with my systems. Fine Art Miracles has over 250 client sites in five different cities. They use the robots in multisensory programs, which are for older adults with dementia and Alzheimer's, social skills programs with youth, primarily kids with autism, and they've had a really successful joint attention program for kids under 3 years old. So just to give a sense of, like, you know, this is kind of coming from like a lot of field experience. So where peerbots.org came to exist is, so we've had this software that we've been using as part of Fine Art Miracles, the service nonprofit, for a long time. But now with COVID, we're not doing these in-person services anymore. So there's this real need for the ability to have these remote services. So we adapted the tool to be able to remotely puppet agents. So what you're looking at here is an occupational therapist in Pittsburgh piloting a little robot in Colorado. And this is actually a screen capture from her screen where we were doing a little bit of a demo. And something that we're going to do today that's going to be super exciting is that Kristen is going to play the role of a teacher therapist, and I'm going to be the kid, and you guys are going to get to see in real time what this experience is like, because I think that's the best way to really understand the value and the opportunity. So again, Peerbots are peer-based educational and emotional relationships. So they're really meant to be this step stool for communication. They're particularly beneficial for kids with autism who are very overwhelmed by complex facial features, body posture, vocal intonation, and particularly over Zoom, children are like 200% or more likely to verbalize, respond, engage. So more verbalizations, lengthened attention span. And so what we've created here is an agent, so like a little face, and I'll show you in a minute, and a controller interface. So the one app has this kind of dual purpose, and it's also able to take many different form factors. So it's really, really versatile. So we're going to go ahead and jump to this demo section here. So Kristen, are you already already still logged in?
Okay, so I'm gonna join again because I think
Okay.
it was doing that. I'm glad we did a little practice run because it was doing the little thing that told me to get out of the app and back in. So I'm back in.
Okay, so go ahead and join again. And maybe go ahead and say hi. So everybody can see on my phone here, and it's super bright. Maybe I can, let me try dimming my phone.
Can you unshare the screen and then we can see you in full size? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and Aubrey, you should put it in the puppet. No?
No, I will, but I wanna show the whole process because I don't want people to think that, so the product here, just to be super clear, is not a hardware product, right? This is a software thing. So, okay, you guys can see this a little better. So you can see, so Peerbots is a software app. This is a stuffed animal that I got on eBay for $5. So this is not my product. This is a, so we're gonna go ahead and actually, Kristen, can you go ahead and say hi just so we can make sure.
Okay, so this is testing.
Testing.
Because this is not part of my script. Okay, ready?
Hi
there. Okay, that was.
Hi there. Perfect. And let me make sure we're max volume. So now we're going to put this guy.
Role very seriously.
It's important. It's very important. Okay, so now
Aubrey's
you guys.
Gonna be the kid. Aubrey's well, I have a 5-year-old Charlotte. So Aubrey's 4-year-old Aubrey. Sort of, without acting like.
Yeah, and usually I would kind of turn this around so I could be looking at it, or
you know, look at it. No,
playing in my space. But I want everyone to be able to see the emotions and the faces and such. Yeah.
Little eyes. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Okay. Hello there. I'm nervous. Hold on. Never mind. I have to get my script right, you guys. Okay. Wait, because we were gonna say.
So
okay.
Kristen's
I'm starting now. Ready? I'm the therapist. Okay. Hi there, Aubrey. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Good. Well, I'm really excited because today I have a friend that I want you to meet.
Oh boy.
Hi there.
Hi there.
What is your name?
My name is Aubrey.
Aubrey, do you want to ask him what his name is?
What is your name?
Can you give me a name?
Sure. How about Migo?
So cool. I like that.
I'm glad.
What do you like to do?
I like to make robots.
Tell me more.
I like to make robots that play with kids.
Interesting. Can you teach me?
Can I teach you? Well, the robots can be big or small, and they can have different emotions and different faces.
I am a baby robot.
You are a baby robot.
I am still learning.
Me too.
Sometimes I feel shy.
I feel shy too sometimes, Migo.
Wow.
How are you?
What is your name?
My name is Aubrey. How are you feeling, Migo?
I am not sure.
Are you feeling tired?
I need a power nap.
I thought so. I'm going to let you have.
Meeting you.
It was nice meeting you too, Migo. I'm going to give you a power nap. So as you folks can see, it's a remote puppet. Like really simply, this isn't programming a robot. This is texting a puppet. And it's really, I put a lot of work into making this something really easy and accessible to give teachers and therapists a presence in the room with the children. Another thing is I actually did a demo last Tuesday where I controlled 15 Migos in 15 locations at a time. So there is this opportunity for like a kind of classroom sort of setting too. That's not the highest priority. It's just, I want to kind of open your mind to the potential. I'm going to share my screen again, share and get to the real kind of ask. So again, Peerbots have already been used, and if you go and you do a Google search for socially assisted robotics, you'll find over 20 peer-reviewed articles. Like, this is a deep, rich, like 20 years of research kind of space. And there's a lot of, everything from literacy to cognitive skills to physical therapy, just all kinds of things. But what my ask is, like, the reason I'm here today, the reason I'm talking to you all is, what is the best way to build a user community? So I've got this nonprofit that really, there've basically been half dozen to a dozen therapists who've used this very religiously over a number of years. And then I just got a grant from the Autism Science Foundation to create the iOS version, which is what you're seeing today. Before, we were only able to use like weird old Android devices. So what I'm really looking for, and it's a little bit of a chicken egg problem, is use case discovery. So to get as many people as possible using this, I don't have a ton of pre-created content. It's really easy to create content, but folks who are in private practice and have a script, or maybe, somebody like Denver Mental Health Center, or something that's got a community that they're using, it might be possible to take existing scripts. So I'm not really sure, but what I'm looking for is to build as many users as possible so that we can get this thing to a stage where it's really helping people and improving lives. So that's with that. I can. Should I leave my screen sharing, like, to just facilitate the conversation, or should I go back to gallery view?
Done? Is this the final present? Do you want to jump in with the reviewers?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the sort of most important thing, and I want to answer as many questions as possible, and I can jump back into the slides, whenever people have questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think this is amazing.
Super cool. I just have one quick techie question.
Sure.
Before we get into your specific ask. And so, as part of what you do is obviously you could see the emotion in the eyes. Mm-hmm. Is that contextual? Is that based on text cues, or how does
it go? So when you create the text, like, so when you create the dialogue, like, how are you doing today? When you create that text string, you choose an emotion, and it defaults to neutral, but you can choose the emotion, the color, the voice, the pitch. You can high or low. All of those things are tied. And if you do nothing, it just defaults to neutral, but you can build that in, and there are a whole bunch of different faces too.
Oh, cool. Okay. Very, very, very cool.
And so, just so I understand what Kristen was doing, is the interface for her like a free-form text interface? You had a slide up briefly for what that looked like.
Let me see if I can pull up. I don't know if, oh yeah, here. So you can kind of see it is slightly simplified to this, because this is the computer interface that you see here. Right. So this is what her screen looked like while she was doing Zoom. And it's actually a little cleaner. We've advanced it since this particular version, so you don't have all the doc and everything. But basically, you have your content. So here you see it's probably hard to see, but social skills, classroom rules and behavior. It's inside out, robot jokes, and usually we'll have like redirects and closure, and it's all color coded, and you can choose colors, emotions, the pitch, the rate, different things about the voice. So it's not, got it. You can add in freeform text, but for the most part, it's scripted ahead, and it's targeted content.
And is it scripting a conversation, or just a single message out, and then based on what the child answers, it might trigger something different?
So if it would
or
be
is it a back and forth conversation?
If it would be helpful, I think it might be helpful for you, the types of questions you're asking, for me to actually show you the opposite direction, and actually control Kristen's robot. So Kristen, could you go into face mode on your robot? You still, Kristen?
Oh, it's on mute. Sorry, switch to face. Okay.
Yeah, so switch to face, log in again. Let me know when you join.
I joined. Is that right? Am I on?
Probably, we'll find out.
Hi.
Okay, can you show your robot? Now I'll hide my guy so that we can focus on yours. Can you?
Oh, that is smart, the way you're doing that. Yeah, that's the way to, so Kathy, yeah.
So can you turn up your volume, and I'm trying to see where you are. Are you sharing your video right now? Oh, there you are. Okay, great. So hit in the upper right corner, hide UI.
Oh,
And actually you might have to restart your app.
really? Oh,
because it's not talking. Yeah, just restart it. But so while I'm sharing my screen, that way Kathy can kind of see the whole kind of experience. Let me know when you join again. So hi, I'm a baby. This is literally the same content that Kristen had, but then, it's like.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
Hi, I am a baby robot. What is your name?
And actually, now let's do the same thing here.
Wait,
I
that's
do
not.
not have a name.
I do not have a name.
Can you give me a name?
Kristen, can you give
Oh,
him a
I'm
name?
supposed to talk. Oh, Miko.
Migo is a nice name. I like that.
Oh, thank you.
Got it.
So
you're
you can
constructing your conversation based on like what's on your palette.
Well, it's what's on your palette, but for example, like the social skills, I didn't write this actually. Fine Art Miracles staff wrote this. So they wrote this for a particular classroom that they were using. This is actually a storybook that you read along, like.
A story with me.
Yeah.
Great. I'm so excited.
But if the kid says things that are off, you can go to redirects and like.
You can ask for help.
Or.
Be nice.
Things like that.
3.
Oh, well, that's an error.
Do not touch me.
So anyways, you can kind of see these things that you're able to go back and forth and do, and it's pretty versatile. There are a lot of places to improve it. This has all been, the design has been done for free. So in any event, I'm going to stop. I think you understand like what it's capable of doing
that's
now.
Great.
How did you do multiple ones?
Okay.
When you said you did multiple.
Yes. Yeah. So there is another web-based interface that if you go to this website, basically all of the different phones, this only works in Android right now. And so I have a slightly different interface than the one I just showed you, and it'll bring up like, 15 users have joined the room, and then you can control it and go through it like that. So it's very slightly different.
Yeah. So I think what excited me so much about when I first saw this was really the innovation and so many possibilities. And particularly now, you mentioned telemedicine, and yes, people are doing way more of that with COVID. You mentioned special ed in schools, and I can't help but think about how useful it would be for general ed, because the kids are so young. People worry. I think there's a lot of concern about children who are so young, spending so much time online, and this seems like a really engaging way to get them involved and to help teachers maybe with content and engagement. And I wonder what your thoughts are with that, especially now. It just seems like, wow, what an opportune time with trying to get kids back to school, but it's not always safe, and hybrid teaching. So what do you think?
So wait, Linda, what I want to do though is I'm going to pause. I know, and Aubrey, I want you to jump in. But Linda, the process right now, since we've listened to Aubrey, we've seen the demo, we're super excited about our product.
Yep.
We're so excited. Linda, if you wouldn't mind, we'll kick you off and have you get us started. If you want to just target her ask and kind of jump and let us know what you would recommend. Her ask, just so clear, just getting it out there and getting more therapists. If you were Aubrey in her shoes, where would you start? And just jump in with that. And then when we're done with the 3 reviewers, then we can have Aubrey, maybe we can bring everyone in and Aubrey can kind of address more of the her answers to your questions.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I have 3 thoughts on target kinds of things. One, in terms of figuring out how to get funding, I recommend Boomtown or other accelerators. I think we talked a little bit about that. And what I think they really help with is getting you ready to get in front of potential investors. And they provide a lot of guidance with that. And I know that's how we first connected was you had talked to Kevin at Hippo Health, who I knew through Boomtown. So that's one thing I recommend. The other thing that you mentioned here now was Mental Health Center of Denver. And I think you've talked to Wes Williams, and the CIO at MHCD. And I don't know how much he told you about their innovation center.
I've actually had a couple conversations with Aliris, their chief innovation officer.
Yeah.
And they're really interested, but a pain point for them, and actually this is great jumping off point for other folks, is the lack of content. So if we had like curriculum built, they'd be like, okay, we can use this, but for them, getting their staff to learn to use a new thing, even though they're all on telehealth, is a bit of a lift. So I have the chicken egg problem that I need, but they are interested. They've had like 4 or 5 calls with me. So it's supposed to go somewhere.
All right. So it sounds like where you are now is building content.
Building or getting the first couple users who want to create content, like folks who, maybe you already have a script that they're using in practice and they're doing telehealth with a couple different clients. And how can we start rolling this out and getting that traction?
Right. Yeah. Do they have any ideas? Just from my time there, I think when you can identify people who are willing to move the project forward, like have they committed to finding any clinicians for you to work with?
Denver Mental Health Center, or not quite. I've talked to some folks, but that's what I need. I need to get the committed clinicians, and I really need dyads of like clinician and target user to help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, it sounds like you're on a good track with them and have gotten moved forward with developing the relationship there. It sounds like the ball's a little bit in their court, but I would maybe keep asking that question on, who have they identified? Because I know there are people there who would love to pick this up and run with it.
So that kind of brings up, right, you've got a classic kind of a marketing challenge, even though you're in your space. And so are there lists, are there associations, professional associations, are there places you can go, or social media, right, to find these clinicians, right, so that you can let them know what you're doing and ask them to start creating content. And so
and using the free tool,
right, 'cause you're not charging them something, right, you're just getting them to engage with it and to use it and to try it. And so the ask that you're going to give them is really easy because you're not asking them to spend money. So it comes down to, how do you find these people? Is there an email campaign, a social media campaign, or do you leverage certain health systems that have contracts with these people that are supporting them? So, I mean, if you could get, kind of like, do you have a target? If you can get 10 people, if you can get 100 people that are creating content, does that get you where you need so that you can then leverage some of these other things that Linda was discussing?
Yeah,
I think it really, go ahead.
I'll let you.
Kathy,
I'll jump in after you.
Kathy, do you want to jump in? I know I'm trying to give it some structure, but you guys are already doing the structure. That's Linda, Liz, and you.
Well, I want to follow on to what Liz was saying, about, how do you target them? But one thing I think about is like, how do you allow your digital footprint to do some of that work for you, right? So I was just playing around with your website. Like, it would be really helpful, I think, to take the content you have and actually create a video use case or something where you actually, I mean, you might have to invest a little in some editing, but it would be great to see the clinician and a child interacting in a real live scenario using the product, right? So that the clinician can see what their experience would be like, and they could see a child interacting with that clinician and tell the story that way. Because if you can create some sort of digital asset that you can actually leverage as part of that marketing, that asset can do the selling for you, rather than you needing to have a conversation with each of those clinicians to start to, kind of explain how it works, right? And then I think the thing you're gonna, even for free, like get started for free kind of things, which is great, you're still asking the clinician to create, to allocate time.
Yes,
To build the
that's
content, right?
that's the pain.
Time is incredibly precious.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually think, is there something that you can bring a little more structure into what it's like to create the content? Jenna created this storybook in 2 hours. The goal of the storybook is to engage the child and how to, I don't know, do something.
So like the
right?
case study.
Yeah. Take it, like, instead of saying you can do all this stuff, narrow it down to like, very simply, I want to do a beta with a clinician who wants to create this kind of content. Here's an example of what it looks like in practice. And then narrow yourself down. I know that's kind of like counterintuitive, but narrow yourself down to something very specific that can go to market. And then people will see adjacent ways of using it, right?
I think that's a great piece of advice. I think I need some direction as to, and maybe, you and Linda and folks on this call can help kind of with that narrowing process in terms of identifying which one might be successful. And the video use case with the clinician and child, I've been thinking I need to do that a long time. How much? I'm thinking a video like that costs like $2,000. Right. Like,
So Aubrey, I'm gonna send you a link to a video that I did with the adaptive ski program at Children's Hospital, and it explains, because what we were trying to do is explain for fundraising what people are donating to, but also to the parents what their child was going to experience going through, and maybe that'll give you some ideas for how to put some content together, because you're trying to communicate the same message, and I would assume at some point a parent is going to want to know what their kid is going through too, and what that experience is, and so it might help you just think of some content. So I'll get the link and just put it in the chat, but I think it'll give you some really good ideas.
So,
and we did it we took a bunch of video clips from of the kids actually interacting or whatever, of the kids actually really tell the stories. And it was just video clips. So you could take video, if you get people to sign permission for the video, then you can just kind of stream it together and stuff.
Yeah,
so I'll send you what we did. And it was really just some editing.
I would try to do it yourself if you can. Just gone through the process of looking at options for videos. And when you have to have someone professionally, even someone who's doing it independently, get live people, it becomes incredibly expensive. When you do it more from just like a product video or something, that can be less expensive. So if you can figure out how use Renata's example, because I think that'll be really good if you can get permission and just get people to sign off on it, and try to do it yourself and see if you can find even like a college student who does really good video editing for you. That's going to be your better way to go, because there's some really great companies in Boulder, but literally if I wanted to do a product or a company video with just a couple of humans, it'd be like $50,000. It's not cheap at all. So
Yeah, I mean, I've produced a lot of videos, and I've produced them, I think, as cheap as you can. And like, that's where I came up with the $2,000 kind of thing. And, yeah, well, 10,000 is what you should pay. 2,000 is like the best friend rate.
well, when you know what you're doing, so
yeah.
You would be surprised what you can do with, if you have a Mac, GarageBand, and a few of the other tools that come natively with a Mac, and how easy it is to do it without technical skills. So
yeah, and I think it's just more about telling the story and the experience. And so you don't really, I would not even put anything of what the therapist sees, put more what the child experiences is, and a lot of those testimonials. That's really what you want to get across, more than they don't necessarily know the how.
Well, and then also,
let me jump in. Hang on. I want to just put a good pause so that we have some structure. So we're doing awesome. We usually are done at 7. It's 6:47, but we always seem to be going long because it's so fun. But I just wanted to jump in and say, our 3 reviewers have chimed in. Aubrey, do you have any more questions for the reviewers before we're going to open it up to just anyone, and we're just going to talk about it?
So
yeah, I mean, I feel like I love this idea of like the child experience and the testimonials, but we have almost no children using it remotely right now, because this is really, we just got the remote functionality built. So even though hundreds, thousands of kids have used it co-located, we can't do that right now. So
that's okay.
Yeah.
So here's a couple of things
the art of the
to
possible.
think about, guys, is right. Healthcare, right? A session between a therapist and a child is HIPAA protected. So in many cases, so it can be a mock engagement, right? They just have to understand the experience. And actually, this is like a little, Aubrey, can you actually stop sharing?
Oh yeah, of course. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because it's actually easier to see people's faces and go back and forth and see who's jumping in. So I do think that there's ways to do it. There's also ways, if you're just editing and you are, doing this using a mock therapist with their child or your child or somebody's child, right? Kind of going through this process. The cost of editing, you can get it down significantly lower. Yes, creating a full professional video is very, very expensive, but if you're willing to do some of the tools, or I know some people who can get this down well under $5,000 if you've got the actual video, right? So it just requires creating a script to go with that process. But that's right. That's one tactic for content creation. I mean, there's many, many, many things we can do on the content creation side, but we have to have somebody to present that to. So I do think, there is actually an egg that will hatch into a chicken, and I'm going to call the egg recruitment and the chicken content creation.
Yeah.
You've got to find therapists for you, right? And
yes.
So there needs to be a very specific plan to go after the provider groups that have relationships with these therapists. So that's like the easy guerrilla sales stuff you've got to do.
Right. And I would say that, and that's not even dependent on technology. I think the main thing is make it easy for them to say yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I think what I've heard are suggestions to really structure it. And I'm just thinking again, just as an example, say the Innovation Center at MHCD, the ask for them would be, can you assign me maybe 3 therapists or whatever the number is to work with me? And if you pre-structure it, because they've got to sell it internally. So how can you make that really specific, and you do the work up front so they're not spinning their wheels like, oh, how am I going to convince people to get involved in this? Pre-package it, and that does not have to be high tech. It could just be you, as Liz is saying, a plan, and I think I've heard Kathy saying this too. You structure it enough that what exactly would these therapists be doing? And here's some examples. Keep it clear, keep it concise so that it's almost easier for them to say yes than no.
Right, but there are also maybe a couple of other more leveraged ways, automated ways to reach these people. So if these types of clinicians have a Facebook group, or if these types of clinicians have a LinkedIn group, then find those groups and reach out and make the ask digitally, right, through social media. Because I have to imagine they may have some, or maybe there's a professional association that has a chat that you can be part of that professional association, and let them know what you're doing, and let them know that you've got a content creation project and that this is a free resource for them, right? Because you're not soliciting money, you're only soliciting time. They get back, and that's a really important message for them, is they get value back from the time they put into this, right? Because this is a therapeutic tool for them to use.
I think the thing that's been tricky, and I've talked to Julie, and Julie's been great, and I've talked to other speech folks and therapists, is that folks are really protective of these professional networks. These are credentialed people, so it's not like just some techie can join, right? Because everybody's trying to sell them snake oil every day. And so what you really need is a clinician to be your champion, your advocate, and that's the.
But what about through CU Health Sciences, where they're doing researchy things, or they have tech savvy therapists coming through, or behavioral things?
I've been trying to get connected. And Julie also introduced me to some people at the speech school, which was great. And like, people are just going nuts over COVID right now. So I've followed up 2 or 3 times. I follow up again and be like, so school year started, are you ready to talk to me yet? As excited as people are, they're drowning so badly. And like, am I seeing people in person or remote? It's still a bit of a lift. And I think if I had content baked already, that people would be like, oh, great, you did my job for me. It's just the process I have right now, because I don't have content, is like, okay, I can do a one-on-one meeting with you, or I can do a little workshop with you and maybe 2 or 3 colleagues. And I can literally, if you just talk me through your session, I will type up, like, you don't even have to type in the thing. Like, I'll type up the session for you, and then you can go ahead and use it over and over again as much as you want. But that's as close as I've gotten. Or if you've got a typed up script or protocol of any kind, I can just import it.
So there's not any like protocols out there, like clinical protocols or anything like that have been published?
There,
or playbooks or anything?
There's some things that I have, but they're definitely kind of copyrighted, and like, I wouldn't want to distribute them. And that also kind of, this credibility of me not being a clinician, there are some things I'm not even supposed to have access to. It's a weird, sticky thing. And that's, in a perfect world, I would have a clinician co-founder of some kind. That would be the thing that would change my game.
I'm going to ask a question that might take us a different direction here, but like, is your first target audience, should it be the clinician, or should it be someone who's a little easier to access, like a preschool teacher or something? Someone where it's not HIPAA protected, and it's not like all this accreditation around it that you have to kind of get through the hoops on. Could you pick a teacher that has 3 students or 5 students and they want to try it out, maybe do a little lesson plan because they're already planning out their lesson plans.
I love
maybe there's something that's a little bit easier to get through, because, you know, again, that's that idea of the adjacency, right? Like, you could get the teachers, you could get the use cases, you could get some videos, might be a little easier to do. And then you go adjacent into the more structured clinician conversations, right? Because now they see a model and you've proven it out, because you really only need 2 or 3 people to prove this out and start to make content from it. And then you're going to get word of mouth, right? You're going to get word of mouth when someone has a great experience and kids, you know, flourish as a result of it. They're going to start talking to other people. I'm just wondering if it would be easier to target an audience that wasn't so tied into the healthcare system.
So I love that. I love where you're going with that, because my sister actually runs a pretty large daycare center out of Washington, D.C. area. And these people are desperate for daycare. In fact, she's had to open up a classroom for kindergartners and first graders because they don't have any place for their kids to go. These are high need kids. And so that's a really interesting insight, because I think you might be able to go even to like a Bright Horizons or some of these more larger organizations and see if you can try it out there, because there are daycare centers like that do help with particularly special needs kids. And this is a perfect place for them to try something like this out. And they've already figured out all of the protocols for COVID. So things like cleaning and disinfecting, and I mean, because they can get shut down with one case. So it's like almost a perfect opportunity to say, hey, let me try this out. If you can find a daycare center or even a group that might be willing to do it, I bet you could then find some local therapists to try it out with you and sort of test it out. I do think, though, you do need to find a clinician or somebody who's in the field that would be willing to partner with you on that, to kind of, as you said, that credibility does actually matter. I'm actually in telehealth, so I understand the pain you're going through. And if we don't have a clinician on a call, sometimes it's like they won't even talk to you. So I think there is both of those things, but Kathy has an excellent idea. I think explore that a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love that. I've actually got a bunch of experience just through my nonprofit work, like The Very Hungry Caterpillar, all of these different stories. And then I literally wrote a children's book, and I got to take off my headphones to grab it. 1 second. So I literally wrote a children's book about it's called When Robot Caught a Bug. It's about privacy and children's experiences living with artificial intelligence and stuff. But the reason this matters is because I own the copyright. I could distribute it, right?
Yes.
And so I can actually distribute the software with the content related to this already on it without violating anybody else's thing, as an example to follow for like, so you want to use Very Hungry Caterpillar, Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, or, you know, all of these early education books, then you have a model. So I like that. I think that's much more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Alice, I think Alice had a question. I just wanted to help.
Thank you. I didn't want to interrupt. Everybody's got such great input, but I was like making notes while you were chatting. So one of the things I like the idea of, as you're asking folks to create content for you, that you are giving them some sort of template so that it is a little easier for them. I was immediately thinking, if you're trying to add credibility or and it's not necessarily credibility, that's not where I'm going, but getting specific people really interested in wanting to create content for you is, I almost would pitch it like those yoga apps where, oh, this is my favorite therapist. And so you're actually going to be adding to their repertoire because they're the XYZ favorite therapist utilizing this. And you know, junior therapists can bring up their, you know, templates and whatnot and learn from them. And so to me, adding some oomph to why you want them to help create content beyond their good nature, which obviously people who do this are very good natured. My children, one of my children very specifically has been through therapies related to this. And so when someone was talking about finding a list of, you know, this or that, the first thing that came to mind for me is integrated listening. Are you familiar with them? They're actually here in Colorado, but have a national presence. And they've created this Safe and Sound protocol, which is a therapy out there. And I'm thinking that it might be hard, like you said, to get into these associations and whatnot, but because of what the Safe and Sound Protocol user base is, I'm thinking that it could be some sort of partnership that, and I don't know the details of it, but they may also have a list of clinicians that would be very open to this. One of the clinicians that we worked with actually, y'all know me, so grain of salt, or we understand lima wedge, asked permission to present some of the stuff going on with my son at her next conference. And if you don't laugh, you'll cry. So, but it's like one of those things that I think that if something like integrated listening, and I'm sure there's other entities out there, have this group of practitioners and clinicians that are willing to try some of these, forward thinking mechanisms to help children, to help PTSD, to help, all this sort of stuff, that might actually be a softer sell into some of these clinicians, meaning, oh, this is being recommended by integrated listening.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think if I can get some branded content, so like, for example, like zones of regulation is one, and social thinking, those are ones that would be great. And like integrated listening also sounds fantastic if I could get a good connection there. Because the thing is the way this works, think of this software as like a record player. You can, if you are the person creating the records, you can sell your records, you own your records. So like integrated listening, they could go and then distribute those to their clients or whatever. But the software itself, that's why it's a nonprofit, is because I wanted to have a free tool that would allow people to use this to kind of generate the opportunity for this additional marketplace or content or whatever. But I agree with you completely that if I could have little content modules and the idea of like, the therapist with a certain profile, like my favorite, whatever, therapist or something. And you could do like, this is mindfulness stuff, or this is, speech related stuff. And the other thing is it can be operated by a therapist, but a therapist could write content that could then be operated by a parent at home. And then the parent has the confidence of knowing that this was crafted by their clinician, and they can, without the same emotional and cognitive bandwidth, know exactly kind of paint by number how to interact with their child.
Because we used one of the integrated listening products because we were using it for so long, I eventually owned it. And, but it's one of those things that I was given a notebook, this is how they delivered it from the clinician. I want your child listening to this, this, and this. If this is the sort of day that you're going through, try this one, that sort of stuff. So I really loved that. And completely agree that at some point in time, being able to remove the clinician in a certain way is going to expand your potential user base, exponentially. But I would still want to log into,
You guys want to put a
special therapy
pause right now since it's 7:04. Liz, don't we usually stop around 7, but then we say we can keep talking if you guys.
Yeah, if people need to leave, I mean, feel free to leave, but
We can
we'll keep the channel open here for 15 minutes.
You have me this much longer.
If we go too much longer, the video size gets so massive.
Got it.
That it actually becomes a challenge to be able to post it. I do think though that there's this adjacency issue that Kathy brought up, and I know that Linda brought it up initially as well when she was talking about teachers. There might be some opportunities here and they might be more open than the professional organizations, right, is through parents accessible groups like an autism foundation group or something of that nature, right? Parents drive so much of what's happening with these therapies, and they're so involved in wanting to make sure that their children get what's best for them. particularly if you had a video that you could put on one of their sites, so they could understand what you're trying to do, so that you're actually asking parents for therapist referrals.
Yeah, that sounds
That
great.
might be faster, you know, that might
Yeah, I think that'd be
be.
good. And
We have a next gen person.
Yeah, hi.
Another
I'm
speech person.
yeah, I'm a speech language pathologist, and I have like a million ideas of ways you could reach therapists. One of the greatest ways you can easily get content is there's a huge form of content creators called Teachers Pay Teachers. I don't know if you've ever used it, but I know that we have done this in my company before, but you can directly contact the creators and basically make a private contract with them and say, hey, can you create this, this, and this for me? And they'll do it. This is, you know, either their part-time hustle or maybe their full-time if they're super successful. But going to Ellis's idea, I love what you're talking about, having the different content creators, because as a therapist, you really, when searching for content, I have my favorite content creators that I will go to for their content, and everyone has a little bit of a different style. And so you can research all the content creators, pick like maybe 5 to start who you like best. They can pump these things out. I mean, this is all they do. And you can just kind of accelerate that content creation process.
I mean, folks who are good, and maybe I would love to do a one-on-one call with you. Like, you're like an ideal person to talk to, and show you what it's like. But someone who knows how to create the content, like you can create a 20-minute session in less than an hour, right? If you know what you're doing, and I would say you can probably do it in 20 minutes if you know all the tools and stuff. So it can be quite fast, and then you have it, then you own it, then you can use it like over and over and over again, and then email it to whoever. So it's,
yeah, absolutely. And you know, the way that Teachers Pay Teachers does it is you could have free content or you can have some paid content. And so the motivation for them is maybe they are going to get a certain percentage of any paid content, but if you want to keep this free, you can also maintain a ton of free content on your website or on the app. And so that depending on who the user is, they can either go deeper into paid content or they can also use just free. Like as a therapist, I only use free content because I'm super cheap and that gets me by. So if you're creative enough, you could stick with the free content, but then you can also spend some money if you have a budget for that.
And that was one of the things that I had kind of a list of things that I'll send to you, Aubrey, afterwards that I've been jotting down. If on your website, you have almost like a content referral page for your therapists, that provides benefit for them as well. If right, and you have to decide how you want to do it. Are you just making something available so people can freely share? Are you actually creating a place where a marketplace where content can be utilized or content can be purchased based on the type of content that people are creating, you know, free, shareable?
So something that's going to have to happen, and I know this because now that we have the iOS version, we actually get a charge when the client's up, right? So when we've got these connections, there's a charge, and we didn't have that before, but we have to have that now. And so I think what I'm going to do is like having like we'll say like 10 pieces of content synced to your device. Think like Spotify, you can sync your songs. Yeah. So if you've got like 10 things, but if you want 20 or 25, or you want to have some, then we're going to have people pay for that, literally because we have to pay for it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So having a little bit of a marketplace there where other therapists can purchase,
would love that.
Would help you offset those costs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the marketplace is the long-term goal, and then embedded assessments and analytics is a really, really important long-term thing. But the first thing is just get people using it. I need dyads of kids and therapists who are doing telehealth, who would like to have that physical presence with their client while they're working with them. that's what I super need. If I could get like 12, like at least 12 dyads, I'd be like golden.
Mhm.
Can I ask a
I
little
have
bit-
at least one name for you.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So I have a little bit of a devil's advocate question for you. Why not just have live therapists do their don't pull all the content in, just do a live chat back and forth and then grab it as it comes.
I'm not sure that
I
I
was thinking that
understand what
too.
you're saying.
So if you have a few therapists that are willing to do this with you, give them a blank screen to just be able to type in responses as they come. There's enough of a delay with the robotic piece of it that when a child like makes a response, and if that therapist on the other end can hear it and see it, they can respond real time. And you're just building content as opposed to having it preloaded. You actually are having like a real time interaction. I'll give you my little biased opinion here because I'm in telehealth and we're like anti-chatbot. And so the reason is that human to human connection is so important. Now, this audience is really different. This user is very, very different. And so there's a lot of value in what you're doing. And so I don't want to discount that at all. But I feel like there's so much that I've just seen in what we do, which is all chat based, and it's pretty profound. And when you can do that real-time interaction and then build your knowledge base and the sort of natural language processing that goes back and forth, you can build your own protocols based on what you're seeing. But I'm wondering, have you ever explored trying that and like seeing what would happen?
So we have over 500 different sessions have been created kind of in that way.
Okay.
By this nonprofit in Pittsburgh, where their therapists and teachers have created content. A lot of it is not amazingly high quality, but we are now kind of scraping that data and scraping that dialogue to see what we can learn from it. Like we've gotten permission to take that and
how did they create the content? Was it they created
so it actually can be done live. And I don't know, did you see the demo that I did when Kathy asked about it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's possible to create all of the buttons and the content and the stuff on the fly, or to have it pre-created. Most of the time, I think they create like a framework before their class, before their session, and then they add as they go.
Mm-hmm.
And then also you usually have your seasoned therapist who've got more time in the classroom will create stuff and then share it with the other folks, and the folks who are more new pretty much just use the stuff that's already built, and then the more seasoned people do more stuff on the fly.
Yeah, so because the way that we do it is this is we do telehealth, so it's chat-based virtual care. And we use client playbooks and clinical playbooks. And what we do is we create smart phrases. So they're dot phrases. So you can do a whole PHQ-9 with a dot phrase. And you can kick that off and it's completely embedded and you can gather that information. But in our case, the patient knows that, okay, now I'm getting this automated questionnaire, but that human hit it off. Now, with an autistic child, that might be a little different. You might not need to do that, but there's ways you can build out these smart phrases. They're literally dot phrases that just start kicking things off, like kicking off different things. And you can even put the logic in there that says, hey, if you answer in this way or this way, you do this. It's almost like a tree, right? Same thing with AI.
Yeah.
It's like exploring like how to make this easier on yourself. So you're not trying to create a ton of content, but you can create the structure that enables when the content comes, it's easier for you to leverage it in a very effective and scalable way.
Yeah, the learning from the context of what's been said and the history and stuff, that is absolutely in the plan and of interest. I'm building a partnership with some research colleagues of mine that, being able to predict, you think of like when you're typing and it like finishes your text message for you, or you just said this one thing and guessing, how you're going to start your email kind of thing, using that kind of semantic linguistic, what are the goals here? And also to base that on the goals of the session. So if you're working on a social emotional learning versus you're working on discrete trial training, you're Cirrus, right? Cirrus MD. Yeah. So yeah, that's, I like all those ideas. It's sort of where we're going.
Yeah, I mean, because what we're trying to do is create a smart system where the system can actually read the chat. So if you're talking about a UTI, we'll just bring up all the protocols on UTI. So the doctor doesn't have to go find and figure out what am I supposed to be asking about next. We'll bring it all, as well as what are the referral patterns, what are all those things. I mean, those are all things that you could totally figure out. I'm trying to figure out how do you make it easy for you to get the content. So that's going to be the hardest part. And as you know, with AI, I mean, you need millions and millions of data points to actually truly get things automated. So what can you do to make it easier for yourself to scale it and to get some of those key protocols you need in getting the right infrastructure that can consume it and then leverage it quickly?
Yeah. Yep.
I have one more idea that we haven't talked about yet about where you could find content is what about going to some of the schools in the area and letting people use the software as part of, let's say, their senior project or their research project that they need to do as part of their education. And then they're actually doing both sides of it. They're using the software to create the content and then use that content to prove out something as part of that therapy relationship, right? You might get some high quality learnings that way. You might not get great content that way, but you can get some great learnings that way because you've got someone actually invested in the solution.
Saint Vrain is interested in that. So they're interested in doing this project where they're like high schoolers act as like consultants to their special needs department. And so setting up something where they're willing to, share all the data back with us, I think is something we still need to do. But that's exactly the sort of thing you're talking about where there's this opportunity. So it's a funny situation. It's a weird chicken and egg problem. And then also the financial side of all of this. So like I've got some funding from the Autism Science Foundation, but like there was a lot of thought that went into making this a software nonprofit. And I think that there's a for-profit marketplace that could come out of this as a, as a sister company or own subsidiary, or I don't know what the thing is, but until I have users, until I have enough, until there's enough critical mass, the nonprofit to get things started and people actually using the tools and getting the credibility, the trust from the clinicians, because there's so much, it's tough to break in.
Do you guys want to put your contact info in the chat when you have it?
Please do.
I'm going to save this and send it to Aubrey so she has all the info in the chat because it's really helpful. So it's 7:20 now. I don't know what you guys think about continuing on. Liz, what do you think?
Yeah, we should probably start looking at wrapping it up. So please take time, again, to put your contact info in private chat or in group chat. It'll all get to, we copy that for you, Aubrey.
Yeah, definitely send it because I haven't been able to follow it as well. I've missed some great things.
Yeah,
that's all right.
That's what saving is for. That's what that's for.
Yeah, we'll take care of that for you.
Ooh, I wrote the wrong.
And I'm not going to save 37 versions of it this time. I don't know.
I have a question. Do the private ones? I guess I'll have to save mine to get the private ones because you guys
need
probably
to save yours to get the private.
Got it. I'll do it.
Remember that because you're filing for your nonprofit status, right? That's how you're setting the company up.
I already got my IRS. I got it. I am a nonprofit.
Oh, awesome.
I've got everything now.
Oh, so
cool.
that will help you, I think, in your content recruitment campaign and in your therapist recruitment campaign, knowing that you're doing this. Oh, awesome.
It just came.
Congratulations. Use that. I mean, from a marketing perspective, when they know that you're putting your heart and soul behind it, not for gain, not for financial gain, it will help you build trust and credibility faster. So
I hope so.
please leverage that. Now that you have it, leverage the heck out of it as you start talking to these people. I think that you'll find them more receptive.
Yeah, that's part of why I did that, because, you know, my first venture was for profit, and then I've worked for some big for profit VC funded, doing almost the exact same thing, and I've dealt with the pain of how clinicians and families and clinics respond to that. So
and other nonprofits, like
other nonprofits,
autism societies and things like that, will also respond to that more favorably. And yeah, I think that's actually your best early selling tool.
Okay.
That you have.
Well, I'm hoping I can, I know we've all gone late. I'm hoping I can catch up with everybody on the side, especially the folks with the therapy background and everything.
Well, you want to talk to Alyssa too. She's a really, really cool next gen. She's one of my,
yes.
It's great to see you here.
You're too kind, Renata.
Aubrey, if you ever need someone to help you demo again, just call me. I'm gonna get back.
I've got to get you set up so your iPad works too, so you can play back and forth between your phone and your iPad. You will have a lot of fun.
Huge. Yeah.
No, but the phone will be your controller, so you control it, and then the phone will be the face. The iPad's the controller, and the phone's the face.
That sounds amazing. I'll be your demo person. I can't contribute much other than that.
That's great.
Yeah, I just wanted to give everyone a reminder that, of course, we don't ever have an NDA, but our understanding in our membership is that we would keep all this information of Aubrey's that's proprietary for her, kind of confidential. So just a little reminder on that. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks, Julie.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording now. It's just kind of officially